Ho, ho, ho. Dadnarok presents the Ted Lasso After Show. This is Sean.
And this is Chris.
Episode 4 of Ted Lasso is what premiered this week on Apple TV Plus. If you guys don't know by now, we are Dadnarok. We are Chris and Sean. We've known each other since we were little lads, 10 years old. And we do a podcast that's available on all podcasting platforms. And we do after shows like the one here for Ted Lasso every Friday at 10 p.m. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, be sure to go there now, like and subscribe. It really helps us out.
There we go. So, what'd you think of Christmas in August?
Christmas in August. I know they missed it by like a couple weeks. It could have been Christmas in July, but yeah, my opinion, it was a good, it's a good show. So it's like whatever. But I think this was the first time at the end of the episode of Ted Lasso, I was kind of like underwhelmed a little bit, just because nothing really big plot wise happened, especially after the big stuff that happened last episode with them potentially losing their biggest sponsor. And, they seem to be on kind of a losing / tying streak. Just seemed like there was more work to be done plot wise. And this was almost kind of a stop in the road for me.
I kind of felt like this show here, or this episode here of the show, in my opinion, is basically what this show is.
Yeah.
This was the heart of the show, from the family that he has made, and then the family that he is struggling with. So his ex-wife, his son,
right?
That part. But the new family that everyone thought he couldn't build, he has since built. From the Secret Santa at the very beginning to Higgins saying they do the open house for Christmas, and they usually only have 2 players show up, and they have basically almost the entire team show up this time around.
Yeah.
And then just the back and forth that you see the growth between Ted and Rebecca. Mm-hmm. So I felt like this show here just showed the pure heart of the entirety of the Ted Lasso show.
Yeah, that's fair. And I have mixed feelings about it, because it sounds like I'm being harsh or being critical on it, but honestly, Christmas episodes of sitcoms and TV shows, they're kind of meant to be revisited in a way, replayed around the holiday season. I know my wife and I rewatch like Christmas episodes of The Office every year, and you just kind of, for it to be a Christmas episode to be a little bit separate of the main plot line of that season, I think is acceptable. So yeah, I don't mind it too much, and I think overall it was I guess I got a little worried because this show is positive. It's positive messages. It's a very sweet show.
Yeah.
And when you throw sugary Christmas on top of that, where it's all, odes to Love Actually and bright colors and snow and everything's extra sweet. I don't know if it was just maybe too sweet for me this week or what, but it was
too many sugars in your tea.
Yeah, might have been a little too sweet for me, but it definitely had that Christmas aesthetic. Something I will look forward to rewatching come this December for sure.
Oh, I wouldn't mind having a sexy Christmas.
I bet you wouldn't. With Roy Kent, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Jeez. My luck, a child would interrupt.
Yeah, that's typically how it goes down. It went down for them that way too. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Well, let's get into this a little bit. Where should we start?
Well, we are live and interactive, guys. If you're watching anywhere you're watching, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, be sure to comment, because we'll see them in real time. We'll be able to talk with you guys as we're talking through the episode.
I think we have more fun reacting to your comments than we do talking to each other.
We do, yeah. Yeah, so please do. It really adds to the show. But we kind of open up in Ted's office, right? Kind of a Diamond Dogs meeting with an extra guest.
My first reaction was, do we have a new member?
Yeah.
Is Keely now a member of the Diamond Dogs?
She looked pretty comfortable in there.
Oh yeah, she had no holding back on like anything they were talking about. And Jamie walks in and was like, no gift. He's like, really? They all look at him in like the pure like disappointment and not surprise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was cool. We jump right into it. I mean, I think they opened up with Christmastime in Hollis, the Run DMC song. Same thing that plays at the beginning of Die Hard, and the players are exchanging gifts in the locker room, and it kind of throws you right in. as far as who we get a lot of Ted, we get a lot of Rebecca, we get a lot of Keely and Roy, with Roy's niece Phoebe.
Yeah.
Almost forgot her name there.
Phoebe, you
Um,
got to remember Phoebe.
yeah,
She
yeah.
demands the screen.
Not a lot of Jamie, not a lot of Coach Beard, and zero Sharon, zero therapist, psychologist
Well, yeah. I
Sharon.
mean, she's just a member of the team, as in like she's brand new. Uh,
Yeah.
Beard, I'm a little shocked we really didn't get any more Beard,
Hmm.
but I think Beard was letting Ted to his own devices. He knew it was gonna be difficult for him. He was just kind of let Ted be, and I don't think we would have had any Rebecca if it wasn't for her intervention,
True. Yeah.
which was absolute. Ted needed, because Ted was spiraling. He was going down a road that we don't see him go down. He needed to be pulled out of.
That's probably the biggest plot point that we actually have progression on this episode is Ted dealing with his family and the loss of just not being there at Christmas time. I mean, he's going through or has gone through a divorce now that's finalized. His wife and his kid. This is basically the first Christmas where he's not with his wife and his kid, which has got to be, I mean, just detrimental.
Yeah, no, I couldn't imagine. Not just not being with him, but I mean, you are an ocean away.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, there's not being with him and knowing, okay, I'm gonna either get him Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or the day. There's some type of arrangement that take place.
Yeah.
There is no way to have any type of arrangement in this situation, and I could not imagine like doing a FaceTime Christmas. Like I've done FaceTime when I've gone out of town for work,
Right.
and I don't even enjoy that because I know I'm hanging up, and then
Right.
when everything's gone, so that would be that'd be dramatic. I couldn't imagine.
Well, Ted has the expectation that he'll pretty much be spending the whole day over FaceTime with his kid. And then, Rebecca kind of gives a look like this knowing look that you could tell right away that maybe she's not so sure. And we see a little bit more from that later. But when it comes time for Ted to actually, spend Christmas morning, apparently he sent a drone to his boy. It was a big Christmas gift, big expensive Christmas gift.
Yeah.
And his son was so excited to go play with it that he kind of leaves the phone right away. And there's not a huge amount of conversation between him and his ex-wife, which I guess might maybe somewhat appropriate. But anyway, the phone call as a whole is cut a lot shorter than I think he was hoping for.
Oh, be careful. No, not in the house. Sorry, Ted.
It's okay. Hey, you go have fun, and send me photos, okay? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Ted. Henry, careful. The baseboards. Oh,
For Christmas, if only in
Shoot.
my dream.
Yeah, very lonely Christmas for Ted, which is a big shame. You can kind of envision at least he was going to try to salvage the Christmas as much as he could by spending, 2D FaceTime time with them, but
Yeah.
it was cut short. And like, now what? Now it's just, whiskey and It's a Wonderful Life for the rest of the
Wonderful.
day.
And yeah, that is not a road he wanted to go down.
No.
Like that's not the Ted we know. We've known we're growing to like know his character a lot more. And
Mhm.
he's more than just the bubbly, nice guy.
Right.
You're seeing the undertones, the layers of Ted, and you're seeing the more and more pain in
Yep.
him than we originally seen. And that's not how his character was built. But if you think about it, that's exactly how his character was.
Right.
He came over here to save his marriage,
Yeah.
and it, in essence, ended it.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of gave him the clarity to move on to what he needed to do. And now there's a certain level of pain and sadness that he keeps very private, while he's
Yeah.
kind of the motivational coach with everybody else and the good friend and the listener. When he's back at home by himself and, phone call with his son is cut short, you just feel for him in
Yeah,
that moment.
he's battling inner demons now. It's like, how do I get through this? And sitting there watching, and they pinpointed the scene of It's a Wonderful Life when he's standing on the bridge.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very telling to what he was going through at that time in
Yeah.
that scene when he had the glass of whiskey in his hand and that scene on the TV. And
Yeah.
the rock hitting the window was perfect timing.
It was. Yeah. Rebecca plays Angel in this episode where she gets his attention right away. She uses Christmas garland to say hi, Ted, outside of his window,
Yeah.
the same way they did Hi Boss with the players lining up last season. And immediately Ted's mood shifts. You can see it in his face,
Yeah.
where he's just happy that, you know, his new family, a part of his new family, has come to kind of pick him up.
Yeah. She became the ghost of Christmas Present.
Yeah, true.
I mean, and that was really, when I was drawing comparisons to like the Christmas Carol, that's what I thought of immediately, because she was like walking through, they were singing in the streets,
Right.
the Secret Santa deal, you know, the whole thing drew so many comparisons to, the Christmas Carol.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. A lot of callbacks this episode too, to like the street performers playing music in the streets, to later Rebecca singing into a microphone the way she did
Yeah.
at karaoke first season. A lot of little callbacks like that. That was kind of nice.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, maybe I'm a sucker for a Christmas episode.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed the snot out of this,
Right.
from the music, background, to the movies, to the Rebecca being down there. It was funny because I was watching this. I hit play on this, and Skylar, my 5-year-old, was in the living room, and then I found out what Sexy Christmas was. I was like, "Oh, Paul's," and then it very quickly curved, out
Right.
of that. I was like, "Okay, we're good."
She almost ruined Sexy Christmas just like Phoebe did.
Yeah, right. Like I said earlier.
Yeah, so Rebecca, she explains to Ted later in the episode, they're walking down the street, and she is well aware of what it's like for the first Christmas, post divorce. She spent last year apparently just commiserating and developing plans to sabotage him, and
Yeah.
just not in a good place. So a year later, she knows probably pretty
Well,
well
I
what
think
Ted's
it's
going
because
through.
of Ted.
Oh
I think
yeah.
Ted's the one that pulled her out of it.
Hmm.
And now I don't think she feels an obligation, but she definitely feels like, you know what? I want to do what I can to help him
Right.
when he came into a situation where I was trying to sabotage him
Yeah.
and destroy everything. He seen through that and was still able to succeed in what he was doing.
Yeah. So she returns the favor, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. She does that for him, which was pretty cool. Nice between the two.
Okay, so I'm going to throw something out there. This is a weird theory that may not even come to fruition until like maybe the last like season of the final of the show.
Hmm.
But would you see those two ending up together?
I was wondering about that because people like to ship things, right? People
Yeah.
that watch TV shows are always kind of putting characters
There's
together,
a weird chemistry between them. I mean, on-screen chemistry is great, but I
right?
feel like they're becoming closer and closer. I mean, from when he was giving her biscuits with the boss and she wanted nothing to do with it,
Right.
and then I don't think she still knows that he makes them.
I don't know. No, there was a point where he was mad at her after she got rid of Jamie last season, and she's like, and he kind of just threw the biscuits at her, and he was like, "Dang it, I just perfected the recipe too." And he
Oh,
stormed
that's
out.
right. No, that's
So she may know, but that's something that actually I did as they were walking almost shoulder to shoulder down the street, and they were being there for each other. I think that is a thought that you would naturally kind of have, like, what is their progression, if any, towards the romantic side of things? They're two divorced people,
Yeah.
roughly around the same age or
they
whatever.
know what they're going through.
Yeah, so I think it's not out of the question, and they may even dabble in some of that, but I don't know if they'll wind up there completely. I don't know. There's something about them being together completely just kind of rings a little false for me for some reason. But I don't know.
Yeah, I would think I would like it, but I
Yeah.
like the idea of almost. This could be funny, Ted falling into the friend zone.
Right.
You can't get out of it once you're in it. But if he's there, because I mean, she was there for him when he had his panic attack.
Hmm.
She's there for him now when he's having this, really down time during Christmas.
Yeah.
So she's becoming, I don't want to say a crutch, but a very reliable person in his life right now, that when he's having a down moment, he can rely on her.
Yeah, and vice versa. Like you mentioned, how he pulled Rebecca out of the funk that she was in
Yeah.
last year and immediately just forgave her and just showed her how people can actually be good to one another again and kind of snapped her out of that.
Yeah, that was big for her when he said, "I forgive you."
Yeah,
At the end of that, that's when she was ready for him to be furious. It's
right.
almost like he's seen what was going on, but
Hmm.
he wanted her to come around and finally say what was happening.
Yeah. No, they won't be together. They will always be great friends. That's what I'm leaning towards.
Oh, she's friend zoning him. That's messed up.
But, we say that like a dirty word, but I mean, people being there for each other, even if it's not in a romantic way,
Yeah,
that's something
definitely in
special.
this position that they're in because it could be very dark for someone that's
Right,
in that position that basically, I mean, they didn't lose their child, but they feel like they lost their child
right,
because they don't have the ability to be the father that I can imagine what he wants to be because he's not there.
right. Yeah, think of the tabloids would go nuts too. Rebecca
Oh yeah.
dating
Oh, they
Ted.
tried to frame him and Keely. Could they
Right.
imagine him and Rebecca?
Yeah.
Wow.
That might be an interesting plot line if they are just hanging out as friends and the tabloids get a hold of some picture of, them wiping ketchup off each other's nose or something, like that might be interesting, but
They won't be going out for tea because we know Ted doesn't like tea.
that's right. Yeah. So Rebecca, she's basically restarting the tradition that she had before, where she used to go around donating gifts and money, and just kind of being charitable throughout the day before her Elton John party.
Yeah, yeah, that was. I mean, talking about a name drop.
Yeah, no kidding. You can tell how influential her and Rupert were in the
Yeah,
previous
exactly.
years.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
they're getting invited to those type parties, they're in that top tier.
right. She forgoes it this year though, and she'd rather just spend it with Ted. I thought for sure that she was just going to bring Ted along to Elton John's party, but it never happened. He'd like to go.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, he was like, "Am I underdressed?" She's like, "You're fine."
Right. So that's a lot of what Rebecca and Ted are up to
Oh,
this episode. We'll meet with them towards the end.
what about the line when they knock on that door of the first house? Mom, there's two white people on the door. They're smiling.
That was funny. That was funny. Like,
Oh,
yeah, why are
I
they
got a kick out of
smiling?
that.
Yeah.
But the whole like where I would like to know how Rebecca would got a hold of these letters. And it wasn't like, sometimes they'll
Mhm.
come and there'll be one gift.
Right.
I was shocked when he handed her the whole bag.
Whole bag of them. Yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, that again plays to the heart of the show. It's like, we're giving back to the city of Richmond.
Sure. Yeah.
We're not just a team here. We care for them as much as they care for us.
Yeah. Another good little scene was when they were watching the street performers, play the music, and Ted pulls out pocket change and gives it to him, and she pulls out a huge wad of bills and doesn't even like take a few out. She just puts the whole
She
wad of
just
bills
drops,
in
yeah,
there.
and it blew their mind. They're like, I think
Yeah.
they went, "Holy crap!"
Yeah. They did.
There was an audible response from them, which was pretty cool to see that they noticed.
Yeah. She's definitely her post Scrooge phase, right? The Scrooge post
Yeah,
the Christmas Eve night with all the ghosts.
absolutely. Yeah, she's she's going around and buying the turkey.
Yeah, taking care of Bob Cratchit. She's doing
Yeah,
well for herself.
absolutely.
But so we also run into Higgins earlier, in the day in Ted's office. The Diamond Dogs were there, including Higgins. They asked him what he was up to. He mentioned that some of the players that aren't, home for the holidays, they're far away from their home countries. He'll have a few of them, two or three of them over, for Christmas dinner. And boy, it really gets out of hand at the Higgins household
Oh,
this
it was
year.
great. I mean, I
Yeah.
love that. It was like the funniest thing to me was Sam shows up early because they just got done eating or doing their gifts. They're getting ready to clean up the house and get ready for the open house. And Sam's at the door. And he's like, "I was in the neighborhood, but I kind of have to pee."
Right. Yeah, and they started talking about the whole Dubai Air thing, and his son was like, F him, and Sam kind of looks at Higgins like, is that okay? And Higgins was like, yeah, F him. But they kind of got into it, and Sam had to remind him that he had to pee. That was a really funny scene. And just over and over, like the doorbell ringing, and throughout the rest of
Yeah.
the day, just
Well,
more and
Sam
more
even
players
as
showing
much
up.
as like helping clean up the house, and
Yeah,
then the interaction between Sam and the young kid about Santa, that
yeah,
was fantastic.
yeah,
As like as much as Sam was kind of a secondary character in the first season,
hmm
as much as a character in the forefront this season.
Right.
And I think he is it's phenomenal on what he's doing. His reaction, he never skips a beat. He kind of has that same like mentality as Ted does. So
Yeah.
it fits the show perfectly. And he always has some type of answer, some type of smile on his face that always fits, whatever situation he's in.
Yeah, he fits the Lasso frame of mind, that completely. This is almost becoming, the Ted Lasso experience, or the type of team or the environment. It's actually, it's kind of spreading into the real world too, where I'm hearing of actual coaches of teams like playing episodes of Ted Lasso for the team, and the positivity virus is spreading. I guess. Oh, I shouldn't put too much COVID. Never mind.
Dude,
Anyway.
I was like, where are we going with this? I don't know how to get out of this one.
Yeah, so Danny Rojas comes over. He brings alcohol, tequila that Higgins' wife shares.
He said you could add tequila to this. She opens up, smells like I think there's already some in there.
Yeah, and Danny Rojas is always beaming. So basically it seems like it's almost the whole entire team that wasn't able to be home for Christmas this year, and they dropped by
first
Higgins.
I thought there was one glaring absence.
Oh, Jamie?
But then I thought about it. Jamie is from the area, so he would have family to go to.
Right.
So it really wasn't an absence for him not being there, because he was with other members of his own family, where these players would have been if they were local.
Yeah, I think Jamie's excused. You're right. I actually thought about that too. As more and more players started showing up, I thought maybe that would be mentioned. But yeah, you're right. You can kind of explain that away. I don't know the French guy's name. He's been not a prominent character, but he's been around since season 1. The guy
comes with a date.
Yeah, he came with a date. Who one of Higgins' boys was just infatuated with.
Just kind of Googling over while she was like eating that chocolate stick.
Yeah.
Kind of essentially.
Yeah. It's funny is so many of the players showed up that he didn't even know where everybody was going to sit for Christmas dinner. And I thought it was great, that panning shot from Higgins at the end of the table, panning all the way down to where basically they lined up their dining room table and like a card table, like a poker
surfboard
table with a surfboard in between, his son's gift for Christmas. And they were just all lined
up.
Oh,
that was funny. It was Danny Rojas and his wife at the end of the table doing shots.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. And Higgins has a line, where they're about to eat dinner, about just, here's to the family that we can't be with, the family that we make, and to Richmond.
Richmond!
AFC Richmond. So you're right. He kind of takes that whole, that positivity, that feeling, that culture that they're creating in the locker room and stuff, and brings it home.
Well, let's check out the scene you were just talking about here.
I know you would have preferred to have been with them, but it was truly an honor to have you with us to share our traditions and help make a few new ones. To the family we're born with, and to the family we make along the way, and most importantly, to Richmond!
Yeah.
I like you were saying before, I love that, because I feel like that's the heart. Even Higgins' character has come such a long way from when we first met him, because he was like stuck in there's a certain spot where he didn't like the team, he didn't like the owner, he didn't like anything that he was going through.
Yeah.
We're not the only ones that enjoyed that one there, but it was just, you see the Lasso effect we've talked about before.
Right.
I don't call Richmond. I mean, yeah, it's AFC Richmond, but it's the Lasso family.
Right.
And the kids are inside eating, and what happens? The parents show up at the door. Both Ted and Rebecca. I kind of figured they're the figureheads of the family.
Right.
And then you have everyone else that's kind of underneath them that are, the kids are doing their own thing. They're out there, having Nerf battles in the house.
Yeah.
With Danny Rojas is behind one of the chairs waiting for one of the kids to come around, and they ambush them. It was that whole, it felt like a family environment. Like there was nothing, I didn't feel like any of it was superficial, and I didn't feel like any of it was really even forced during that scene.
Yeah, you could tell that this was a special Christmas. This is one that the players would remember, and Higgins' family would remember. And Rebecca herself, I mean, she foregoed going to Elton John's party just to show up at Higgins' place and start singing outside. And that's how the episode ends. They're all kind of
Yeah.
dancing in the street.
Yeah, that was nice. I mean, when they were singing and all of a sudden Ted starts singing and, you know,
Yeah, those low baritones.
yeah, it was fun. And then the one kid was sitting on top of the car and you see like the sled, National Lampoon throwback there.
They sure did. Yeah.
Going over the,
That's one of the scenes where I was like, is this too saccharine sweet? Is this too much? And they just leaned into it. The show leaned into it.
Yeah, it knew what they were going for. They knew, I think they knew the heaviness of the last episode.
Right.
But like you said, my one thing is, where are we in the timeline? Because now they have 4 wins, they have 4 losses, and they had 14 draws.
Yeah.
So they've come a long ways since breaking that streak. I mean, they're 8 games past that.
Right.
So actually 7 games beyond that episode where they had the tape on the jersey. So what's happened in between that? That's really like, I understand what you're saying. That's the one drawback to this episode here, because there's a lot of things that are unknown based on the circumstances of the prior episode.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot still to address, even game wise, as far as what their season looks like as a football team, but also just the stuff going on with Ted. There's going to be some sort of developments with Ted, speaking with the psychologist there, Sharon, getting over that stuff with Rebecca's love life, and I think there's just more to address. Luckily, we still have 7 episodes after this.
Yeah, they're not giving us a Marvel 6-episode season. They're giving
Right.
us 12 episodes. Are giving us about almost 35 to 40 minute long episodes at times.
Yeah.
So
we
they're
still have
giving us
plenty of
nice
time.
episodes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not concerned that they won't actually be able to flush a lot of this out before the time's over.
Yeah, and finally, the third plot here in this Christmas episode has to do with the sexy Christmas that gets interrupted with Roy and Keely and Phoebe. Phoebe, so we go through a little montage where Keely is really setting things up for a fun Christmas.
She didn't like the
with her.
strawberries, but she was really digging that chocolate.
Oh, I thought a great callback too is when she was taking the making the martinis and taking the olives and taking little red things out of the olives. Because there was a scene between her and Rebecca last year. She was like, "Oh, I hate those things in the olives." She actually said that when they were talking. But I thought that was a fun callback. But yeah, so there's a knock on the door. She opens up. She's dressed in lingerie, and Phoebe's there.
Yeah, it's like,
Phoebe's at the door.
Hey.
Roy doesn't even see her. He just walks right in with gifts, and doesn't see her right away, and kind of is explaining why Phoebe is so upset. And it's only later that he sees Keely.
He stops and looks like, you look
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, they just have a big kiss right there in the living room. But Phoebe's upset. We've never really seen Phoebe upset. She's always just enthralled with her uncle and just kind of a happy-go-lucky kid. So you start to wonder what the heck could have happened. And I guess she was made fun of by a schoolmate.
Yeah, she was being bullied by a schoolmate that she had bad breath. And this was a funny little thing too.
Yeah.
Like when Keely goes and just smells it, and she's like, "Oh no, just give it to me." And she just starts gagging, and Roy goes, "I think you're dying."
Like, oh, that poor kid. That poor kid.
Oh,
But they didn't stop there, right? I mean, you can't like, because how would that affect the kid if now
yeah, right. She'd be traumatized.
2 people that you trust the most agree with the bully that's bullying you back in your classroom? So they didn't stop there. Roy right away, he was like, "Come on, get your coats on."
We're finding a dentist. He's like, "You guys, if we don't get one, I didn't catch the 10 house thing, Roy, at the beginning.
Yeah.
But they get what, 100 quid or something like that, or 100 or 1,000
pounds or
£1,000
something. I don't know.
Yeah, so they were getting both Keely and
Yeah.
and Phoebe were like, "Yep, we're going."
Yeah,
'Cause
if we
I
don't
don't-
find a dentist within 10 houses in my rich neighborhood, then I owe you guys money, basically, which they right away, they got dressed and left the house for that.
Oh, then they run into that one kid at the door, and Roy's talking about crap in his pants.
Yeah. The camera went away from him, so you assume maybe the kid went back inside, and he was like, "Roy Kent pooped his pants 3 weeks ago."
Yeah.
But then he was like, I have 2, and we'll both try harder. That was a fun scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, there throughout the episode, this is kind of its own montage, its own door-to-door montage. This is kind of the same way that Ted and Rebecca had their own door-to-door earlier in the episode. But they finally come across an actual dentist who sits them down. They all just kind of barge into this poor woman's home.
Yeah. Well, I think she
Um,
realized it was who it was at the door too. So I
right,
think she was
yeah,
probably a little more welcoming than say if me and you showed up at the door and said, "I need a dentist." Are you a
true.
dentist?
Yeah. So they sit her down, they talk to her about what's going on. It turns out that new antihistamine that Phoebe had been on because she got a new cat is kind of drying her mouth out and
Roy was like,
causing
"We're getting rid of the
bad breath.
cat."
Yeah, immediately. And the dentist was like that too. It was like time to get rid of that cat. And luckily Keely comes in and saves the day. And she's
Yeah,
like,
she's
I
the
think
heart in that episode. But then the guy
yeah,
on the table are like, "Oh, we want a picture," and Roy's like, "Okay, I'll come in." Not with you.
that was funny. Yeah. I guess they call it a selfie an ussy over there, or when you have two people doing a selfie, because it's not the first time but that teenage kid at the table is like, "Hey, can we get an ussy?" It's like, oh, okay, I don't know. I guess that's a term we don't really use over here.
Nope. Yeah, that's not one that's not ours. They
Yeah,
can
that's
have
not
it.
ours. But that was a cute little thing. I mean, once again, like not a ton of plot wise with Keely or Roy or even Phoebe, just kind of a distraction that kind of solved itself at the end. But Roy was mad when he first heard that Phoebe was getting bullied. He wanted to go to this kid's house and
Could
beat
you
up a
imagine a pissed
9-year-old
off Roy
boy.
Kent coming to your door? Like,
No,
say for instance, we have no idea what's going on,
yeah,
and say it was like Zach said something stupid or your daughter said something stupid, and also we get a pissed off Roy Kent at my door, and I've got no idea. I'm freaked out because it's Roy Kent.
I'm
And
crapping my
second,
pants.
yeah, then I'm like, hold on, he wants to kick my ass. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Or he wants to string up my kid by his toes and swing him around.
Yeah, and that's how this
Yeah.
thing kind of ends. Well, it's a subversion. I mean, Roy does go to this, boy's front door, and they totally do a whole riff on that scene, that famous scene from Love Actually, which is, a British Christmas movie that's kind of a classic now, where the whole, writing out signs and being at the front door and being quiet, like you just reading through signs. But they do that with the kid, and they just let him know how much he hurt her feelings, and now everything's going to be okay as far as her breath or whatever. She figured it out, and but he should still apologize because he made her feel so bad. And he does. I mean, I don't know, partially because he feels bad or partially because he's scared of Roy Kent
Yeah,
being
Roy
at his
Kent standing
door.
right there.
But it's
He's
Christmas
everywhere.
time and feelings. He is everywhere. You should have waited to make that meme, or just keep adding on to it.
Yeah, let's keep adding. It's going to shrink the pictures around him.
Yeah, he's there. He's here. He's there. He's here. He's there. He's here. He's there. Everywhere.
You kind of
Anyway,
PG'd it.
yeah. And then I don't think Keely and Roy meet up with the big party in the street, but
Yeah, they never.
It's kind of
They
the
know.
end
Yeah,
there.
they never. It was just those three, and they kind of did their own thing. And
Yeah.
apparently, well, Boxing Day is a big soccer day over in Europe. So yeah, he had to work the next day. So yeah, there was no there was no postponing, Sexy Christmas. It'll be Sexy 27th or something like that.
28th, yeah. So that's kind of it for this episode. I mean, Christmas episode. The one thing we didn't really mention was they changed up the opening to kind of a claymation.
The
Christmas
claymation.
opening.
I mean, they went full for it. I don't know if they originally intended on this to be like released at Christmas, but
Yeah.
I mean, they went for the full Christmas feel. Right at the gate when I noticed the claymation opening, I was like, that's
Yeah.
cool. I mean, they were putting like thought into the little things, and that tells me they really care about what they're putting out.
Yeah, they bathed it in Christmas for sure. And it'll be an episode that I look forward to revisiting at Christmas time because it is just so feel good and Christmassy, and I'll definitely be watching it. Like I said, I wish there was a little bit more plot progression, but I'm sure we'll get right back to it next week.
Oh yeah, we're not gonna be out of it too long. Definitely after what Ted just happened to Ted here.
Yeah.
I don't think we're very far away from where Ted's actually going to sit down with the doc.
And how about the consequences of the Dubai Air thing? Do you think there's more to address with that too?
Oh, there's absolutely more coming to that.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually, it's they're going to change sponsors. I'll say now. I think they're going to have a different sponsor on the front of their kits, if not mid-season in this one here, or it would be the next one. Because one of their star players refused to wear the name on there, something's going to have to give.
Right.
And it's hard to tell. If you're asking me if this happens, say for instance in U.S. sports,
Yeah.
would the star player be moved or them change a sponsor? I would say the player would be moved.
Mm.
But over there, it's not uncommon for sponsors to change, on soccer teams.
Yeah.
I mean, even from year to year. I mean, they'll come back and they'll show their new, I say kits. I mean, their new uniforms,
Right.
and it's a different name across the front of it. I mean, they still have the
Okay.
crest from it'd be Richmond. The crest will be up on their chest,
Right.
but the name across the center of their chest will be a different name.
Mhm.
So it's not uncommon. That's absolutely where they're heading. Who they're going to go to for their main sponsor. I think that's going to be a lot of the conflict. Who's going to pick them up? Because they're not a Premier League. They're a Championship League team, which is just one under. They need to finish in the top 3 this season to be promoted up back to the Champions League.
Yeah.
So there's a few things that need to take place for them to get back, in front of everybody again. So what big sponsor is going to take on a team that just had this happen to them? So have all this controversy surrounding them.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, they're not getting the level of exposure as a Premier League team would have.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do left with these next 7 episodes for sure. Because a little behind the scenes, I mean, this show was written initially to have kind of a 3-act structure with 3 seasons, and that's what Apple TV Plus kind of renewed them for, an additional 2 seasons after the first season was so successful. So you and I even talked about it, like, hey, it's as far as this show would be, maybe them getting promoted again in season 2 and then winning the whole thing in season 3. Just that's how these things typically work out in sports movies, right?
Yeah.
Where at the end they win the whole thing at the end. But at the same time, this show is uber successful, probably more successful than they thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah, by far.
Especially leading into this new season. I think a ton of people caught up with this show even after it was finished airing.
Yeah, because you were one of the
last
ones
year.
that caught it. Because I watched it I thought I was behind. I was behind. And I binged it up to where I was current. And then I was watching it, when it was being released. And that's when I kind of hinted towards you and say, hey, dude, check this out.
Yeah.
I know you're not a football guy or soccer guy or however we want to talk about it. But it's less about that and more about the characters. And then
Right.
I think you pretty much fell for it, after episode 1 or 2, and you're like, hey, now, I mean, you guys watch, as you say, comfort TV. I've watched the first season a couple times.
Yeah.
My wife loves it. So we need to get Ted out there a little more. We got to push him out, be a little more extroverted.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's so successful now that they are maybe thinking about going beyond that 3-act structure and doing a 3-season thing where they're in and out, because I know that the cast and the crew loves this show too. Like, I've even heard interviews with Juno Temple, who plays Keeley, how this show has changed her life. Just like as far as changing her outlook, and it's just a different kind of role for her, where she's used to playing like sexy vampires or something she was saying before. So it's like a good role that she's really proud of, and that's the whole thing. The whole cast feels that way.
But here's something: how would I'm of 2 minds of this. I would love more Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
But I would be just as satisfied if they give me 3 phenomenal seasons with a great tie-up at the end, rather than stretching it out and then losing the quality they have.
I'm with you. I'm of 2 minds. I think it's always better, and it doesn't necessarily have to be 3, but when a show and a showrunner and the executive producers have an idea for an overarching story that spans a few seasons, and they say, hey, this show is a 5-season show, and here's how we want to end the thing.
Yeah.
Those typically always go over better than the ones that just are writing as they go. And before they know it, they're in a 6th, 7th, 8th season, and they're just dragging this dead
And it just
body
getting
of a show
muddled. I
along.
mean, Dexter, the final season of Dexter, I think is the
Yeah.
best example of that. They could have
Right.
cut that off earlier and it'd been a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one here, I would rather them give me 3 great seasons, and I would almost be content with them not winning the championship at the end. Like if it goes to penalties,
Right.
and they lose in heartbreaking fashion, And that's how the show, because what that would do, and if that was the end of the series, that would leave me wanting more. And I think that's the best way a show can end.
Yeah.
Is by me wanting more, because all of a sudden we're talking about it.
Right.
And and with it ending, that also gives the writers the ability to say, okay, this is how we ended it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, they're not writing on the fly now.
Yeah.
So if they decide to renew it at a later point, now they developed a whole, a way forward rather than, just kind of hodgepodging it.
Right. Or imagine this. Imagine they have 3 seasons of this TV show and they don't make it at the end. And to cap it all off, they do an actual movie that's more in the line of the typical sports movie that you would get, where we already know the characters and all their backstories, and we already feel that connection to all the players and the coaches and the staff. And then we get more in line with the actual soccer playing, which, this show kind of steers away from a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I said another thing popped in my head too. Would be 3 seasons in. What if all of a sudden Ted's on the hot seat?
Yeah.
As the manager of the team, the coach. I mean, your shelf life is only so far.
Right. That's true.
I mean, what if all of a sudden, and that's the danger that the show has eventually. It's like, okay, if you're really going to try to stick as close to as reality as you can, those managers, unless they're being very, very successful, they don't have a long shelf life.
Yeah.
And coming in, losing, being, relegated, coming back, having a 4-4-14 record right now,
right,
isn't exactly being very successful either. So, I mean, sponsors are looking at that too. So there's a lot of things that would be looked at. So what if he got canned?
Right.
And then what if he got canned and we still followed Ted outside of AFC Richmond?
Yeah, that would be something, man. You're right, because eventually, you don't get a ton of time to prove yourself in any big time sport. So he's already pretty much, relegated the team from last season, and it was through Rebecca's, goodwill and just liking him and believing in him that he's still here.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they have another losing season, that's, that could be dire straits for him as far as his place there. That could be very interesting. But you and I are speculating, 2-3 seasons out.
Yeah, we are. So you can tell we love the show when we're starting to do that stuff.
Yeah.
But
so all in all, good episode. Great Christmas time episode. Like I said, I'll be revisiting it this December. Maybe it'll be in the stable of Christmas themed shows and movies that I watch year to year. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this week.
Yeah. So who are we? What do we do? If you're watching to this point and you don't figure it out by now,
join us. Yeah, we're Dadnarok. We have a podcast. We have an after show, Ted Lasso after show, every Friday at 10 p.m. on YouTube. We're on a lot of platforms, but honestly, head over to our YouTube page if you haven't already. It really helps out our channel. That's the channel that we're really trying to grow. Go ahead and subscribe, check out some of the other videos that we've done. We do reactions to movie trailers that come out from time to time. So yeah, please do check us out and join us next week.
Yeah, if you're new to Ted Lasso, we've got one for every week. So if you're just catching up on Lasso, watch the past 3 shows as well. Yeah, that'll give you an idea where we fall. But I guess is a point where we'll go ahead and say, you know what? Thanks for watching, and go ahead and I'd say keep it cheesy.
Barbecue sauce. See ya.